Are the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships really prestigious? Let's find out. Hello guys, one more time and welcome to Ring Royalty. My name is Alexis, as you already know, and today we have another episode of Ew, Everything Wrong With. Today I have organized my ring over here with all the tag teams that I have in action figures. We have Pinup Strong, Natalia and Beth Phoenix, Vince's Devils, Victoria, Tori Wilson, Candice Michelle, and of course the iconic team of Layla and Michelle McCool. And I want to talk about a very controversial topic among wrestling fans, and that would be the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. They haven't really done a good job booking them in WWE, so we're going to spill the tea today and I'm going to give you the facts why these titles have been a complete flop. This month, the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships have achieved a 2-year of existing run in WWE. They have been active for 2 years. Sadly, not much of these 2 years has been remarkable. And today we're going to check one by one the reasons why these titles have been very underwhelming in WWE. The first reason that I want to mention is making random pairings become the champions. In only 2 years, we have had 3 teams that are completely random become champions. Starting off with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, who became champions after what? Like a month of being teaming up together. And then we have Team Shania, the current champions, Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, who are in their second reign. Ugh. A team that is not really a team has had 2 title reigns. Can you believe that? And the last one being, of course, Asuka and Charlotte Flair, who we all know why that happened. I'm going to talk about that later on, but it made absolutely no sense that Asuka, being the Raw Women's Champion, won the Tag Team Championships with someone that hasn't even been on TV for half a year. It was so messy. All of this is a problem because there is not really a tag team division that you can get behind. And it is a big problem because it shows just choosing 2 random people from the roster not only to challenge but to become the champions and the face of that division. It is so wrong, and it is the first big signal why these tag team championships are failing miserably. Now, we have talked about what happens with these made up teams, but I want to talk about the legit teams for a bit. And here comes the second problem: ignoring or breaking up real tag teams. For some reason, WWE feels the need to ignore or break up real women's tag teams, something that obviously hurts the women's tag team division. With the likes of the Riot Squad being ignored for 2 years, I cannot believe it's been 2 years since the titles have been active and they haven't won the titles once. Why? I have no idea. Or breaking up real teams that could have had a good title run. For example, Fire and Desire, Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. We also have the Simone Slaughterhouse. I would have loved to see Tamina and Nia being champions more than Nia and Shayna Baszler. Or even Shayna with Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke, the Horsewomen. What happened to that team? I have no idea what's going on, but they just break everyone up. And of course the Iconics, probably the most useless tag team breakup ever. All of that was for nothing. Then Peyton Royce was stuck on Raw teaming up with Lacey Evans for whatever reason, and then Billie Kay moved to SmackDown to be a joke, well, a comedy character. I like her work, but I mean, she can do way better than that. So it is all a mess. I have no idea why they feel the need to destroy the women's tag team division, but the ones that they have should be appreciated and showcased better, not just ignored like the Riot Squad or being broken up like the Iconics. It makes absolutely no sense why WWE introduced tag team titles for women if they are not going to care about the tag team division there. Now let's move to the bigger problems, because reason number 3 would be the titles being used as springboard for other storylines. Let me explain. So WWE has proven over the years that they don't care about the tag team championships for women. And what do I mean with that? They are usually used as complements or as props rather than championships because they're always linked to another storyline, which is the important one, and the titles just fall short to a second place. And let me give you some examples so you understand what I'm talking about or where I'm coming from. They serve as a springboard for the implosion between the golden role models Sasha Banks and Bayley. They have also been used to elevate Lana as a babyface in the division with that huge push that she had last year. They've also started a rivalry against Asuka and Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship. They have been used also to elevate Charlotte so Charlotte could become a Grand Slam champion, and that's why she returned teaming up with Asuka and winning the championships at TLC. Oh, I almost forgot, even this Sunday, when Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defended titles against Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, that is also for another purpose. It's not to showcase the women's tag team championships at all. It would probably lead to the rivalry between Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair for the SmackDown Women's Championship to WrestleMania. So that is another example, and the fresher example, of the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships being used for other rivalries or for other purposes rather than the Women's Tag Team division. So all of the storylines that I just mentioned were the important ones, despite all of them were included in Women's Tag Team Champions rivalries or matches. So this is why this title has been so underwhelming, because not even the company gives them the importance they deserve. They are always a complement of other storyline, of the singles champion, or even of a push of one of the members involved in the rivalry. So it's really hard for fans to take these titles seriously when WWE doesn't even take them seriously themselves. After talking about how underwhelming all of this has been, we need to mention the fourth reason, and that would be the lack of meaningful rivalries. Don't get me wrong, there have been some really good matches for the championships. I can mention a couple, for example, the Elimination Chamber match, where the titles were introduced. Also the WrestleMania Fatal 4-Way match between 4 teams, that was nice. The TLC match between the Kabuki Warriors and Becky and Charlotte. Maybe Fire and Desire against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. And Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax Team Shania against their Golden Role Models at Payback. That was a good match. But the problem is that none of these matches that I just mentioned had a build-up. And if they had a build-up, it was done poorly. Nobody gave a damn about building a storyline for the tag team championships, and that's why the matches sometimes don't feel special. The quality of the match in ring-wise could be really good, but if there's no story behind it or there is no reason why they are fighting, it's not going to be something that people will look forward to. It is very difficult, and I've mentioned this in a lot of videos, how storytelling sometimes is more important than in-ring work. And this is one big problem with the tag team championships for women. There hasn't been any substantial story, there hasn't been anything that I could highlight. In these 2 years of existing, I cannot recall even one feud that was really remarkable from the women's tag team championships history. I mean, if you can do it, tell me down in the comments which feud would that be, but I cannot remember one, and it's such a shame because I really love tag team wrestling, I really love women's wrestling, so to have a women's tag team division was a dream come true. But sadly, my expectations were way too high, and many other fans probably agree with that. And that's why we're going to move now to the final fact in this video why the tag team championships were a flop. And that fact would be falling short from the expectations. When the titles were first announced, there was a lot of buzz around them, and a lot of people were very intrigued how WWE was going to book the women's tag team division. They were very hyped, especially with the Elimination Chamber tag team match. It was the introduction of the titles, but sadly everything went downhill ever since they were activated on the roster, and a lot of people expected different things. One of the things that I expected, for example, was to see more legends return to challenge for the championships. We kinda got that when Natalya and Beth Phoenix pinned up Strong return in 2019 to challenge challenge for the championships at WrestleMania. I guess it wasn't really that special because there were just not 2 but 4 teams fighting for the championships at WrestleMania, and sadly Beth Phoenix didn't stay longer, so maybe they could have a one-on-one feud with another team, that in that case would be the Iconics, who were the team that won at WrestleMania. It was sad. I mean, that was a missed opportunity in my opinion, as Beth Phoenix is still a member of the WWE roster. Also, I was expecting to see Team Bestie, Trish Stratus and Lita, challenge for the championships at some point, because they have been 2 of the most iconic women in wrestling history, and WWE really showcase Trish and Lita as much as they can when they have the opportunity, so I am surprised that they haven't returned. And also maybe Laycool. I know that would be too much and maybe I was just dreaming, but it could have happened. Now, talking about legends maybe is going a bit too far, but let's talk about something that is more real. They promised these titles to be multi-branded, so that means that they were going to be defended on Raw, SmackDown and NXT. Sadly, that hasn't really happened that much. In these 2 years, the title has been defended in NXT only twice. And usually the titles are just stuck in either Raw or SmackDown depending on who's holding them. There hasn't really been that multi-branded interaction between the women's tag teams that we were expecting, and it is so sad, especially for the NXT tag team division, because I feel like Triple H has done such a good job creating and elevating characters, not only individuals but tag teams as well. Down in NXT we have the team of Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai, who will challenge for the championships pretty soon. The Robert Strong brand, that was Aaliyah and Mercedes Martinez, currently Aaliyah and Jessica Mea, which is a nice addition. We also have Team Ninja, Kaden Carter and Casey Catanzaro, such a good team. And even Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart have a lot of things in common to be a real tag team. Maybe they need a couple more weeks or more months to be established pretty well in the division, but they are doing a good job because they have some similarities. So I feel like one of the biggest improvements that WWE could do when it comes to the women's tag team division, and especially the women's tag team championships, would be move them down to NXT and let them recover their prestige. Make the prestige of the titles rise so they would mean something. Maybe in the future some NXT superstars who are the champions at the time could move to Raw or SmackDown to have some competition. It would feel like a call-up, but at the same time the titles would be more special than they are right now, and it would elevate the division as a whole. Another thing, and it would be the final one, that I think a lot of people expected was more opportunities for other women on the locker room. You know that sometimes there are like 7 or 8 women who get always the title opportunities and the big rivalries and the matches at pay-per-views, and the rest of the women are just there. So I thought that would mean more opportunities for women who didn't really get single pushes that much or get title opportunities for single championships, the likes of Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, Natalya and Tamina, Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan, or even Peyton Royce and Billie Kay. There's a lot of people that don't really have a chance to get a singles match in a pay-per-view or get a singles title opportunity, so why not letting them shine on their own in the tag team division while the other girls do their thing as singles competitors? So I feel like falling short from the expectations is the main reason why these titles don't feel special and they are completely ignored by a lot of fans. I'm so sorry to say this, but the titles when it comes to the women's division have been a complete flop. Alright, so this was everything wrong with the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. After all of these facts that I have spilled, I would love to know your opinion down in the comments. Do you agree with me? Are these championships a flop, or do you believe I am exaggerating and you think the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships are something good? Tell me down in the comments what's your opinion. Once again, I want to thank you for your support. It has been amazing. If you have another idea for this section that everything wrong with, I would love for you to leave down in the comments what topic would you like to see here. Remember, we can talk about title reigns, rivalries, maybe some titles. I don't know, whatever you want. If you give me some good ideas, maybe I can do my research and include them in the next video of this segment. My name is Alexis, as you already know. Here is my Instagram as always. If you want to talk to me or anything, you know you can do it. I mean, it's free. So this will be it for this week. I will probably see you next weekend with a new video and new content. So everybody, please stay safe, and this kiss is for all of you. Goodbye!